Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Comcast Sportsnet brings you Houston Astros baseball. And today it's Game 4 of this weekend series. The Astros take on the Seattle Mariners. Good afternoon, everybody. Bill Brown with Alan Ashby as we watch the Seattle Mariners, who have won the first 3 of this series, go for a rare 4-game sweep. The Astros have some other ideas with Brett Overholtzer on the mound, but Hisashi Iwakuma has been tough against everybody in the American League this year, Ash.
Iwakuma, all-star this year, 12-6 on his year, 3.03 the ERA. He has been dynamic. He's among the top 10 in the league in wins, ERA, batting average against, innings pitched, and strikeouts. And it's Brett Overholtzer who gets the call against him. Overholtzer, 3-1 in his first 4 starts. His last start took it on the chin a little bit, 5 1/3 innings, allowing 5 runs and 8 hits in that outing.
Well, the story of this series has been the Seattle starting pitching. It's dominated the Astros bats, but Matt Dominguez has kept his bat hot for a while now.
He's been swinging it really well, Brownie. I've been very impressed with the swings he takes in key situations, driving home run balls. His last 6 games, 391 the batting average, a home run and a 440 on-base percentage in that span, and an OPS over 1,000. Of course, you can even extend it on Matt Dominguez the way he's been swinging the bat over his last 15. 10 RBIs, 5 dingers in that span, and a 351 batting average. Matt Dominguez is the guy you want at the plate, along with Jason Castro in a big situation.
Coming up, Trevor Crowe is back with the Astros as a September call-up. He's in the lineup today. Julia Morales has more on the Astros September call-ups right after this.
Seattle Mariners this Sunday afternoon, and we turn the calendars to September, which is good news for some players around the league today getting their shot at a major league roster. Expanding rosters today, and the Astros call up 2 players from AAA Oklahoma City, outfielder Trevor Crowe and right-handed pitcher Jorge De Leon. Crowe was placed on the DL back in June with a sprained AC joint in his right shoulder, option to AAA, and hitting the ball well there. 3 homers, driving in 23, 16 bags stolen for him in 60 games. De Leon, a hard-throwing righty, making his second stint in the majors, 3.46 ERA in AAA. He'll be used out of the pen, but we will see Trevor Crowe first. He's going to be out in center field. Here he is with our Geico quote of the game.
like you said, finish out strong. You know, be consistent in all phases of the game. Swing the bat better than I did the first go around. And just help this team win because, you know, there's a lot of talent in this locker room and there's a lot of more talent coming from the minor leagues.
With Oklahoma City headed to the playoffs, the Astros did not want to call up too many players, trying to give them the best chance to win a championship. And with these extra players on this roster, Bo Porter not managing any differently. He'll continue to evaluate players and put them in situations where he can see how they respond. He hopes the team can respond to this losing streak right now as they try to avoid the sweep by the Seattle Mariners. Astros behind Brett Overholtzer today will have lineups and first pitch after the break.
To you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. We are at Minute Maid Park. It's the finale of this 4-game series. Another 3 games set to come on this homestand for the Astros. The Minnesota Twins are here. And we'll have day games coming up tomorrow and Wednesday and a night game Tuesday in that 3-game series. The youngsters were just out on the field alongside the Astros players as they took their positions. That's the customary Sunday move and allowing the fans to take part in things. Those fans looking down on the action. And the Astros now trying to salvage 1 game of this series and snap their 5-game losing streak. The umpiring crew has accepted the lineup cards. And let's check the lineup for the Seattle Mariners. As handed in by their skipper. Brad Miller, the shortstop, leads it off. Nick Franklin at second base. Kyle Seager at third. Kendrys Morales, the DH. Franklin Gutierrez, right field. Michael Saunders, left field. Justin Smoke, first base. Dustin Ackley, center field. Henry Blanco, catcher for Eric Wedge.
Left-hander Brett Overholtzer, 23 years of age, on the hill. 3-1 on his season as he makes his 6th major league start. 9th game in the big leagues now. ERA at 3.43. Has never faced Seattle. 5 home runs allowed in 39 innings. And the opposition hitting .260. Intriguing number there is the .362 mark that left-hand hitters have managed against the young lefty. Defensively, for Houston this afternoon, behind the plate, it's Jason Castro. Around the infield, right to left, Brett Wallace, Jose Altuve, Jonathan Villar back in there, and Matt Dominguez at third base. In the outfield, Trevor Crowe just recalled to the ball club. He gets the start. He's flanked by AT HOU in right and Robbie Grossman in left.
Trevor Crowe's been playing for quite some time now at AAA Oklahoma City, but he was regaining the arm strength in the right shoulder, and that was the injury that has kept him in the minors after the rehab time. Said he got his shoulder all strong again, and very anxious, as you might have heard on his remarks to Julia Morales, to get back in here and finish up strong in this final month. And a lot of different player motivations at work here in this final month of the season. Brad Miller gets it going. Miller's had 4 hits in this series so far. He's hit in all 3 games. There's strike 1 to him. 269 for the leadoff man with 5 homers, 26 runs batted in for Brad Miller. Matt Dominguez in on the grass at third. It's a ground ball to first. Brett Wallace takes it. 1 out for Overholtzer. Since the 31st of July, Derek Holland has the best ERA among left-handers in the American League, 2.18. Brett Overholtzer is second in that span of time at 2.53, slightly better than David Price.
How about the shoulders he's rubbing right there?
You bet. That's impressive company. Nick Franklin now, the switch-hitting second baseman, leads all American League rookies in homers and runs batted in. Franklin takes, and there's strike 1 for Overholtzer, Obi as they call him. Tim Welke's the home plate umpire. 221 for Franklin, 12 homers, 41 runs batted in. He's 1 for 12 in this series, and that 1 hit was a homer his first time up on Thursday night. Home run off Jordan Lyles to the opposite field. He fouls it back, and it snowballs 2 strikes. So Franklin has been streaky in a strange kind of way, because he was 0 for 16 when this series started. Then he got that home run, and now here he is, 0 for the next 11. Mariners have won 3 in a row. They're 62 and 73. They're 17 games out in 4th place. That is strike 3 call. Overholtzer with the backdoor breaking ball takes care of out number 2.
Just drops this curveball, starts it away, and brings it back to that outside edge. Nicely done. So a very nice start here for Obi.
The last time out, he gave up 4 runs in 5 1/3 innings, and losing in that game against the Chicago White Sox, he got a no decision. The Astros won it 10-8, winning it late. But that was his worst start. He'd had 4 straight quality starts prior to that. Now Kyle Seager. Seager takes, and it's a strike. Seager at 277 has 21 homers, 62 runs batted in, 3 hits for Seager in this series. Had 2 of them last night to go with a walk. He's had a very nice season at age 25. That's in, and it's 0-2. And Overholtzer has been known for pounding the strike zone with only 6 walks in 40 innings compared to 26 strikeouts now.
Doing a nice job pounding that strike zone right on the edges.
It's a good place to pound it, right? You don't want to pound it right down the middle.
From the big league level, that is the only way to be successful on a regular basis.
Pound it down the middle. You're going to get pounded usually in the big leagues, unless you throw about 98 or so. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Even then, guys will find you at times.
Yeah, there's no lock, is there? No free lunch, as the saying goes. Pitchers really have to earn their way. That's in the air and back into the seats. Still a 1 ball, 2 strike count. Well, the Astros put the month of August behind them with 8 wins, 21 losses, and a 4.73 staff ERA in August. Looking for better things here in the final month with 44 wins, 91 losses. It's Tim Welke, Mike Everett, Dan Bellino, and Bruce Dreckman on this umpiring crew. Mariners were 12 and 16 in August. Infield shifted around on Seager. Seager shoots that one foul. Mariners are headed for Kansas City next on this road trip. They are the team that travels the most miles of any major league club. Eric Wedge's club has a lot of long flights. More than 50,000 travel miles for Seattle. He was the manager of the year in 2007 with Cleveland. He's come back from a stroke which had him out of the action for several weeks. It's 2-2. The Astros travel would be about 33,000 miles this year by comparison.
Bring back the Concorde.
Bo Porter's club, though, at home 21-47. Boy, he would like a much better home field advantage and a home field disadvantage this year. Seager's down on strikes, and the first inning starts very well for Overholtzer. Astros up in a moment. Bo Porter's lineup card looks a little different. He has a new player in there. Robbie Grossman in left field leads it off. It's Jose Altuve batting second today at second base. Jason Castro's in the 3 spot doing the catching with Matt Dominguez at third base. Brett Wallace at first. Chris Carter the DH. Trevor Crowe comes back. He's in center field. LJ Ho's dropping down to number 8 in right field, and Jonathan Villar the shortstop bats ninth.
Right-hander Hisashi Iwakuma, 32 years of age, 12-6 overall with a 3.03 against the Astros this year. He's already made 3 starts. He's 2-1, and he's been rather successful. 1.89 the ERA. Defensively for the Seattle Mariners here this afternoon, Henry Blanco's behind the dish. Around the infield, right to left, Justin Smoke, Nick Franklin, Brad Miller, and Kyle Seager. In the outfield, Dustin Ackley back in center field. He's flanked by Franklin Gutierrez in right and Michael Saunders in left.
Iwakuma goes to work, and Robbie Grossman is waiting for him. Robbie takes, and there's strike one right over the inside edge. Robbie at 266 has 4 homers. He's driven in 21, 2 for 13 in this series. A slow curve comes in for a strike. That makes it 0-2. Iwakuma, 32 years old, born in Tokyo, Japan. Spent 11 years in the Japanese Central League. Signed as a free agent with Seattle prior to last year. Foul back, and he's a fine pitcher.
A little bit of a unique delivery. Like so many of the pitchers out of Japan, that pause at the top of the leg lift there. Trying to make sure the balance stays on the back leg. Iwakuma, one of the real good ones.
Excellent control. 5th in innings pitched in the American League. He gets a swing, and he opens with a strikeout. He has the 9th best ERA in the American League, 3.03. As you mentioned, the Astros have seen him 3 times, but haven't done a whole lot with him. They beat him here in April. Jose Altuve at 266 with 4 homers, has 42 runs batted in. He's 2 for 12 in this series. Had a rough month of August. Altuve looks at it. It's ball one. In that loss for Iwakuma here, April 23rd to Bud Norris, he gave up 2 earned runs in 5 innings, so it's not as if they really clubbed him. The other 2 starts for him have been wins and quality work. It's a liner out to left field. Saunders in for the catch. 2 outs.
Saunders dealing with the lights. You see those line drives to corner outfielders oftentimes will result in that difficulty, but Saunders tracked it well, then accorded his head, his eyes there at the last moment as he wanted to make sure he didn't take one in the lips.
Not a good place to take one.
No, not at all.
Jason Castro comes up next. Jason was really torrid in the month of August. Had some of the best numbers in the American League that month. There's ball one. 279, 18 homers, 53 runs batted in as he starts September. Castro dribbles it foul. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. He struck out as a pinch hitter last night in the 9th inning. Friday night, his 8-game hitting streak was snapped. But last Monday, he was named American League Player of the Week for the 2nd time this year. Had some big moments in August. He was 3rd among American League players with an OPS of 1,067, a batting average of .338 with 5 homers, 14 driven in. 1 and 2. And this is a month when a lot of catchers are slowing down as hitters. It's worked very well to give him an occasional DH spot in the lineup and then resting him every now and then, period. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Castro. Castro's hit .294 against Seattle this year.
You're always trying to balance things with a guy and make sure he stays fresh through the long season. But I think one thing Jason Castro would tell you is staying healthy this year and having a chance to get consistent at bats has probably been the biggest key to his success.
Ground ball to shortstop. Miller makes it a 1-2-3 first for both pitchers, and we go to the 2nd inning with no score.
Is back Saturday, September 14th. The Astros take on Josh Hamilton and the LA Angels of Anaheim, followed by an inspiring post-game concert featuring David Crowder. Your game ticket is also your ticket to the concert. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com for tickets. Yes.
Julia, with college football season here, what is your assessment of Game 1 for the Texas Longhorns?
Texas Longhorns, a little slow out of the gate. I was a little worried. I was talking some trash to Nate Lucero, who went to New Mexico State, and I was a little worried there. But they came through for me.
Is Nate pretty quiet today?
He is. He actually threw sunflower seeds at me as a, you got me. So.
Well, now, Julia, mid-September, you told us about that Faith and Family Night. That's going to be a busy time for you, too, with Dancing with the Stros on the 15th, right?
I will be helping out that night, emceeing. I'll get to watch it front row.
That's great.
I'm excited.
Are you going as Brooke Burke? Brownie was going to try to do that.
She's stunning.
Yeah.
I'll try
stunning.
my best. I'll try my best.
Kendrys Morales takes strike one. 279, 17 homers, 69 runs batted in, 1 for 7 for Kendrys Morales in this series. He fouls that one back. No balls, 2 strikes to the DH. He's hit 300. And Morales with 2 homers, 6 runs batted in against the Astros. It's had some good swings.
Brownie, is Julia aware that she can now call you Tom Bergeron for the rest of the season?
She can, yes.
Okay.
She can do that. But I think Julia should tell us more about Dancing with the Stros on September 15th at the House of Blues. What do you know about that event?
Well, I know that the guys will have to, they have an hour to put their performances together. So it'll be just before the performance. They'll meet with their professional dancer and throw something together, it sounds like.
Look like Altuve's already considering and a little bit nervous about the possibilities.
Altuve looks nervous about it. That'll head back for the seats, and the left fielder comes over for a look, but it's a foul ball. And Robbie Grossman winds up with a play out there anyway. Altuve, one of the Astros, who's going to be dancing with the Stros, so he'll have a professional partner. Lucas Harrell, he looks like a foxtrot guy to me.
Just going to take it one step at a time.
Ooh, that's a good place for that cliche. Some of these athletes, though, on Dancing with the Stars have been pretty amazing, haven't they?
Oh. Kelly Pickler last year was phenomenal, and she wasn't the only one. The little gal from Disney was fantastic. Yes, my wife watched the show, and I did catch a few moments. Yes.
You were forced to accompany her and keep your eyes open for some of that.
Yep.
Just bonding, though. Strictly bonding for support for her viewership. Julia, though, comes from an entire family of dancers.
Yeah.
Yep. So she's right at home with this.
This is true. I know a little something about it.
That's out to center field. Trevor Crow backing on it. And a good running catch. They had to adjust a little bit to get back there for out number 1.
Well, we got a glimpse of Trevor Crow in the outfield earlier in the season. He does a nice job. Brandon Barnes would have pulled out his back right pocket and dropped this one right in there. But nice work here by Trevor.
That's 4 in a row set down by Overholtzer and friends. Franklin Gutierrez follows.
So Julia comes from a big dancing
Yes.
family, huh?
Yes, she does. Very fine dancing family. The Dancing Morales family, they call them.
We have a sock hop every year at our house.
Hey, that sounds like fun.
I have my extended family even dances. I got a little brother that's dancing out in Los Angeles right now. A little hip hop dancer out there.
Wow.
Do you guys ever do the jitterbug?
We do. We can do it all.
That's fun. Line shot. How about the polka?
Little polka. I know how to polka.
Wow. There aren't very many people who can polka.
Well, I'll give you this secret. My dad taught lessons at clubs back in the day. He taught people how to do country western, the waltz, just your basic numbers. So he knows how to do it all. So when I was little, I was forced to learn these dances.
You need a nice accordion to do polka, don't you?
I think so. That would help.
Yeah.
It's a very, very active dance. Gotta
Oh,
be
yeah,
athletic.
I could see you playing some accordion.
How about harmonica?
That would be nice, actually. I'd be in for a little dose of that.
Okay.
Well, with Ash's guitar playing, we have ourselves a band.
I'll tell you what, this could be really big.
All right, I'll tell you what. Tomorrow night, we'll get something worked up.
Yeah, if it's going to take the dancers just an hour to throw their thing together, why not?
It should be really good. Shortstop is there. Jonathan VR. 2 outs. Good start for Overholtzer.
So I'm intrigued by Julia talking about the sock hop they do. Do they do the Tom Cruise sock kind of dance thing?
No.
Because I might come and watch that.
No, it's not like that. We do some swing. Yeah. We do a lot of salsa.
Oh.
We have a good time. Guys, you can't count Jake Elmore out of this thing too.
I'm going to guess Marwin Gonzalez might have some salsa going on.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not in the dance routine, but.
Well, he's a dark horse. Elmore, yeah, he looks like the kind of guy who would really be working very hard behind the scenes to get ready for this.
That's exactly what I'm hearing.
Okay. I think he could actually wind up the champion in that event. Michael Saunders with 10 homers, 39 runs batted in. Bounces one to second. Down on a knee, Altuve, plenty of time to make it 6 in a row for Overholtzer. And no score after 1.5. We go to the bottom of the second inning, and as we promised earlier in the game, well, we didn't promise it earlier. We're promising it now that later on it will be Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. We promised it yesterday and the day before, but we're going to promise it again today, Ash.
It's your current promise, I gather.
Yeah. And anyway, it'll be coming up later. And now here is Hisashi Iwakuma working to Matt Dominguez. Matt's hit 300 against the Mariners this season. He rips a line drive to left field. He just banged it right between third and short. Low flying laser for Domingo, leadoff single here in the second inning.
You know, because I said it earlier and days previous, I love the swing of Matt Dominguez right about now. He is locked in. I mean, this is a big-time swing. That's the kind of swing that's going to pound a bunch of home runs. 19 already on his season, and I'm getting the feeling if he can maintain this type of stroke, he's going to hit a load.
He has 10 hits in his last 24 at-bats. He's aboard for Brett Wallace. Ground ball. And there's smoke with the play to second. Miller back to first to the pitcher Iwakuma, safe at first. Dominguez forced from 3 to 6. Iwakuma over to take that throw. Wallace is the base runner for Carter now.
Iwakuma hurts his own cause by missing the bag right there. Should have been able to get there in time and take this throw with no problem. Otherwise executed beautifully by the Seattle Mariners. And a good throw for Iwakuma to deal with. It's close, but
oh yeah,
game of horseshoes was going on there.
Sure did. Clint Fagan is the umpire at first, and you saw with his hand gesture that the pitcher was off the bag. Chris Carter bats next. Carter takes it at strike one to a man with 26 homers, 70 runs batted in, and a .216 batting average. Chris is 0 for 6 in this series, but had a big series in Chicago prior to that. And with his 26 homers, that's the most by an Astro since Carlos Lee also hit 26 in 09. He looks at a ball 1-1. The last Astro to hit more than 26 in a season, well, there were two in 08. Lance Berkman hit 29. Carlos Lee hit 28 that year. Carter is 2 for 10 against Iwakuma. That's in for a strike, and it's 1-2. The Mariners really have had strong starting pitching in this series. Now overall they've won 6 in a row from the Astros. They're 10-5 against Houston. And in this series their starting pitchers are 3-0 with a 1.13 ERA, 16 innings, 2 earned runs. And that's without King Felix in this series. Struck him out. Number 2 for Iwakuma.
Yeah, the King got dethroned his last time out anyway, but this is just intended high heat and blow it right over the bat.
14.2 average pitches per inning. That's the lowest figure in the majors. He's gone to a full count on only 7.8% of the batters he's faced this year. That's really low. He gets it done quickly usually on his outs. Now Trevor Crowe, just recalled after last night's game from AAA Oklahoma City for his second stint with the Astros this year. Initially he came up May 8th. Fouls it back, and then he played in 34 games, but he had a sprained AC joint in his right shoulder and went on the disabled list June 20th. At 200 he has 1 homer, 5 runs batted in. It's a very important time for him because he is a guy who's been around for a while and trying to make an impression for next year. And because of the fact that he missed a lot of major league at bats, he only has a month now to try to make an impression for next year's team. Trevor's 29 years old. First round pick of Cleveland in 05. Switch hitter. He fouls that one away. And it snowballs 2 strikes to Trevor Crowe. Trevor played AAA Salt Lake City and Columbus last year. Was not in the big leagues. He had been with the Indians in 09, 2010, and 2011. But he had that right shoulder surgery in 2011. He only had 28 at bats that year. Native of Portland, Oregon. And he went to the University of Arizona. He's a non-roster player this spring. He takes that one upstairs. 1-2. LJ Ho's on deck.
Henry Blanco back there catching like Yogi Berra back in the day, of standing up for a couple of pitches here in the inning. So I guess the phrase "he's catching like Yogi Berra" wouldn't be considered any kind of insult.
No, it wouldn't. Did you ever do that?
Well, you know, you do stand up a little bit. I was never accused of approaching Yogi Berra's style by any stretch of the imagination, but you do stand up on certain pitches a bit when you want the pitch up, although umpires are not big fans of that style.
blocks their view of the pitch.
Usually what you see the catcher do is just put the glove up around the mask. But in the case of Henry Blanco, he's been now I can't think of the word I want to say.
Hank what? There's a shot into center field. Trevor Crow comes back to the lineup with a sharp single. And it's first and third as Crow comes through in his return to the Astros lineup in his first at bat.
Very nice, Trevor. I want to say his first at bat with the club earlier in the season, he put one in the Crawford boxes. Nice work driving the line shot up the middle.
That is correct, sir.
First at bat back in month of May, maybe? April?
Yeah, May. You're right. And now it's LJ Ho's batting. He's been hitting second for a while now, but he's in the number 8 spot in the lineup. 279, 1 homer, 5 runs batted in. That was May 10th against the Texas Rangers. He had had a couple of pinch hit at bats prior to that in the Angel series, but he went deep against Alexi Ogando. And so that was a nice way for him. That was his first start as an Astro, as you say. A nice way for him to break into that lineup.
That last pitch there from Iwakuma called a ball. That's a good looking pitch, and one that pitchers across the board will tell you they feel they should get.
Trevor Crow with his first Astro hit being a home run May 10th. And so, you know, that's a memorable thing for him, joining a new club. Had only a couple of at-bats prior to that, so a meaningful swing of the bat for him against the Rangers. Runner takes off, now stops. And it's a strike. Trevor Crow just took a couple of quick steps towards second base.
Pretty good idea right there, shutting it down when you know you don't have much of a jump.
Yep. Still time to apply the brakes, and no harm done, and that's what he did. Kind of like somebody going to driving school. They're lurching along out of the driveway. Realized that was not a good idea to back up without looking.
Sound like you speak with personal experience.
Yeah, there's been some of that. Nothing like dancing, though.
I was going to let you drive the Mini Cooper, but I don't know that I will now.
No, you don't want to do that. 2 balls and a strike. Only an experienced hand should drive the Mini Cooper. You notice we used to have this term Sunday drivers. There were certain drivers you only wanted out on a Sunday.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the casual drive day, but the term Sunday drivers referenced something a little other than that, right?
Well, yeah. You didn't want anybody else on the road because you were afraid of what they might do to other drivers. They were so bad. Strike to Hose, and it's 2-2. But we went up to Dallas, took a Sunday drive up there on that last road trip. There's a lot of traffic on Sunday anymore.
Heading up 45.
Yeah. I don't think you'd want to put a first-time driver or a bad driver out there on a Sunday anymore.
Are you suggesting I stay home?
Well, 3 balls, 2 strikes. How about a Tuesday 3 a.m. driver?
Ooh.
You gotta pick your
get it
spots.
close to 4 o'clock here on the 290, and I don't want any part of it.
Not on the 290, no.
Yeah.
290 is a highway in transition, shall we say, and probably will remain in transition for about the next 3 years.
That sounds promising.
3-2. Crow will take off. And it's a bounce to the shortstop. Miller throwing to first to end the second inning with no runs. 2 hits, 2 men stranded. The Kayaks are out. And They're having a great time on a Sunday. No runs so far through 2.
Tweet of the game from Astros Future. We tweet Carlos Correa's month of August, 336 batting average, 10 doubles, 2 homers, 22 RBI. Not a bad month for the 18-year-old, the top prospect for the Astros. Became the youngest player to be named to the Midwest League All-Star team there for the postseason. And his season batting average there, you see 321, is ranked first among all Astros minor league players who played a full season in the minors. How about that, guys?
Spectacular stuff, Julia. Nothing but good reports from there. And, you know, going back to spring training, the Astros weren't entirely sure they should start him as high as Quad Cities. It's worked out very well. Justin Smoke leads it off in a scoreless game. Inning number 3 rolling around for the switch hitting Smoke. And there's ball 1.
You know, quite frankly, Bronny, a lot of times you get those high draft picks. They go play their first full season, and it doesn't work out well at all. Carlos Correa just looks like the real deal.
Glowing reports from different folks who have watched him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Not just Astros people either. Just, you know, media types who watch the low minor leagues and report on things. Very, very impressed. It's 2-1 to Justin Smoke. Smoke is 1 for 6 in this series. Drew 3 walks in game 2 of the series. That one bounced up there for ball 3. Julia, we saw a promo up on El Grande, the big screen out in right center field for Dancing with the Stros.
Yes.
Did you happen to look up there and see that?
I did. It's a great promo.
Yeah.
From that, though, I'm going with Elmore.
Well,
he had a little attitude there, didn't he?
He did. He had rhythm.
See, I was thinking Cozart because he looked pretty smart in his outfit.
I didn't like the turn.
Okay. Well, you would know more about that, of course.
I feel like he turned to the wrong shoulder there.
Already being critical.
Very technical.
This is a serious event.
It is?
All right. Very serious.
Leadoff walk. That's serious for Overholtzer. Well, what about who is your co-host for this event?
You know, I'm not exactly sure. I heard Kevin Eschenfelder's name being thrown around.
He would be smart.
He would be Tom Bergeron, yes.
We would have a good time.
He would be the Tom Bergeron of that event.
I really see you as Tom Bergeron, really, Bronny.
No.
We've got to get this straightened out.
There's a fly ball, and Dustin Ackley hits it to shallow left field. Bobby Grossman in. Out number 1. I think Kevin would be absolutely ideal. Now, are you and Kevin planning to do a little dancing yourself?
Oh, no.
No?
Just hosting.
Because that, I think, would add a lot to the event.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe we'll work on something.
People would be coming to see you and Kevin dance.
There it is. Yeah. There it is.
There. Could you master that?
What would Len have to say about that dance?
Ooh. That is a great dance, wasn't it? Still looking for the name of that dance.
Well, maybe the Morales family get-together should wind up with that dance.
That dance in socks, you really got something.
Yeah. Strike to Henry Blanco, or Hank White. 153, 3 homers, 14 runs batted in. We sometimes anglicize his name that way. I don't know why.
You're on your own there, Bronny.
Okay. No balls, 2 strikes. Well, Ash, you really study these Hispanic names, and you put a lot into trying to get them right. So that you must absolutely cringe when somebody does that.
No, I'm good. As long as the guy's good, and I, quite frankly, don't know how Henry feels about it. Just calling him Henry is not right, is it?
Probably not. Ground ball foul. Still no balls, 2 strikes for Overholtzer.
No, you know, Brownie, you are Tom Bergeron, and we've got to get a judging panel, though. That's the thing. Who's going to be Len? Phil Boudreau?
That's a good question. How many of the Astros teammates of these guys are going to be judges? Do we know that?
I don't know about that. If the players wind up being the judges, it's going to be just some very poor judging. That's all I've got to say, because whoever's really good is going to get busted.
We have heard that the players are going to be judging this thing.
Tell you what, have some scouts come in and be the judges.
Strikeout number 3. Overholtzer just has that ability to change speeds.
And this is the changeup, just falling down to terra firma. Very nice looking pitch.
So does that mean it's coming back to earth?
That's your read on it. Yeah. I probably would go that way.
Brad Miller grounded out in the first inning. The Yankees are beating the Orioles again, 3-0, bottom of the 5th, Yankee Stadium. There's a strike. The Yankees have moved past the Orioles in the wild card race now. They're even in the loss column, but the Yankees have one more win. They're 72-63. The Orioles 71-63. 1 ball, 1 strike. So let's look at the AL East. Boston is still looking very strong because the Rays have been losing to Oakland, and they've fallen 4.5 out now. Yankees are 8 back, and the Orioles trail by 8.5.
I think if you took that back, and I'm not sure how many days, maybe 10, 12 days, the Rays actually had the lead. That's how quickly things can turn.
That's a good point. 2 balls and a strike. So the wild card shows the Yankees only 3.5 out behind the A's and the Rays. And they're a half game in front of the Orioles, and the Indians have slipped to 4.5 back. Wei-Yin Chen started for Baltimore. He went 4 innings and gave up 3 runs. Andy Pettit's pitching for the Yankees. Strike makes it 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brett Overholtzer is one of those pitchers who, and he's only made 5 major league starts, but he gets better as the game goes along. Lower batting average the second time through the order than the first by more than 100 points for Brett Overholtzer. Line shot right field. That's in, and Hose comes over to his left to field it. And Smoke goes first to third on the single by Miller. The Mariners have their first uprising of the day, and Franklin will be the batter.
Miller stays right on that pitch against the left-hander. Not easy to do, but kept the head down in that lead shoulder.
Franklin struck out looking in the first inning. Cardinals are putting a whipping on the Pirates, 5-0 in the middle of the 4th inning. After falling a game behind the front-running Buccos last night, Cardinals rebounding well today. They have Joe Kelly on the mound. Pirates have just welcomed Justin Morneau to their lineup. He went on appeal to Clint Fagan, the first base umpire. Franklin falls behind 0-1.
That got out there right in that range to the lead part of the plate, and for me, that's going. As a hitter, you're often surprised at how far the bat actually went.
Yadier Molina's 2 for 2 in the early going for the Cardinals. He's hitting .331 now. Check up on that batting race in the National League between Molina and Chris Johnson. Foul back. Let's see. Johnson .331, Molina .328. They're the top two in the NL batting race. No balls, 2 strikes to Franklin. Overholtzer looking pretty intense out there on the mound right now. He's a good competitor. He comes right at the hitters.
Had a great start to his major league career.
24 years old. Yeah, it would be hard to keep up this pace, wouldn't it? With what he's done to start in his first 5.
It's hard to judge. A lot of times, especially with a left-handed pitcher. His fastball is not in that mid-90s range, a la Jared Cozart, and yet he spots it well, changes speeds, and he's been very successful.
Since he joined the rotation, he's 3-1 with a 2.53 ERA in 5 starts. In fact, the Astros' young rotation as a group doing exceptionally well. Swing and a miss, and Franklin's down on strikes. That's number 4 for Overholtzer. It's no runs a hit, 2 men stranded. And in Houston, after 2.5, there's no score.
Demand $1 Dog Night returns Friday, September 13th. Enjoy $1 hot dogs all game long, presented by HEB. First pitch against the Angels is at 7:10. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com for tickets. Hisashi Iwakuma back to work for the Mariners here, and been very good against the Astros. A 1.89 ERA. He's 2-1 against the Astros this season. I talked to Jason Castro about what makes him so good. He said it's really hard to lay off that split finger fastball. The 4-seam and the split come out of his hand the exact same way. So Iwakuma doing a very good job of deceiving batters with that pitch, guys.
Thanks, Julia. We go to the bottom half of the 3rd. Jonathan Villar leads it off. Astros number 9 hitter. and there's strike one to VR. 262 for Jonathan. No homers. 3 runs batted in for VR. The Pirates are starting right-hander Chris Johnson today against St. Louis. Breaking ball is in for strike 2, and it snowballs 2 strikes. And there was a little item on Twitter today about Wandy Rodriguez. Apparently he is telling people that he has arthritis in his left elbow. He's missed about 3 months. And it's very frustrating for him that he has been unable to return. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's 2-2. Royals 5, Blue Jays nothing in Toronto. Top of the 6th inning. Royals have been slipping back, and they're only 3 games above 500 right now. That's punch foul. James Shields is on the mound for them. Jay Happ started. He did not get an out. Gave up 7 hits and 5 runs, 3 of them earned, and no innings pitched. That's probably not right. It says he threw 87 pitches, Ash.
Through how many innings?
0, so that can't be right.
That seems like an abundant number of pitches for that amount of work.
Yeah, that would be historic. We'll check elsewhere.
Would have been a lot of foul balls involved there.
Yeah. That can't be right. Ash, we got an email today. It was captivating for us before the game about Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. How many times do you think he struck out during his 56-game hitting streak? We'll let people ponder that because we know the answer. Fly ball, shallow left field. Seager with a catch. 1 out.
I want to remind the folks how many games were involved in the 56-game hitting streak.
That would be 56. So we got a good start on this now.
Okay, so if you knew how many times he struck out all year long, I imagine that might help a little bit.
Yes.
We're talking about a season for Joe DiMaggio, 1941, in which he struck out an exorbitant number at 13 times on that year.
That is just hard to believe. Strike 1 to Robbie Grossman. Robbie had 37 hits in August. That's the most hits in one calendar month by an Astro rookie since Hunter Pence had 37 in June of 07. 1 ball, 1 strike. So back to Joe DiMaggio. 56-game hitting streak. How many times did he strike out? And the email that was going out had an incorrect answer, but we found out from Elias Sports Bureau the correct answer. 2 balls and a strike.
And the correct answer is still unbelievable, but it does fit in with the 13 on the season.
That's true. Only 13 strikeouts all season. And he had, what did you say, 600 plate appearances?
Let's see. 600. I might have to check that again.
It's a shot foul, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Just hard to digest that in this day and age.
Joe DiMaggio in his 1941 season played in 139 games, 622 plate appearances.
Wow.
You know, it's astounding. He didn't walk all that much.
No. Strike 3 call. That's the 3rd strikeout for Iwakuma.
Well, Robbie Grossman down on strikes a couple of times today. This one looking tough pitch down and away. But again, with 2 strikes, expand your strike zone.
Now, Jose Altuve's the batter. He hit a fly ball to left field. in the first inning. Altuve hit 200 for the month of August. That's his lowest batting average in a calendar month in his career. Fouls it back for strike one. He hit 209 in September 2011. So here's his batting average by month this season: 324 April, 265 May, 275 June, 258 July, 200 August. That one's in the seats, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. And the Astros, coming into this game, were 0 for their last 20 with runners in scoring position, covering the previous 4 games. And then they had another at bat with a man in scoring position in the second inning. So currently 0 for 21. About a week ago, they had about 3 guys really hot at the same time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But there's an old saying that encompasses that. That's baseball.
That covers it all, right? That's what I'd always hear, that response to anything that was just remarkable in the game.
Well, it's not football, and it's certainly not basketball. There's a line shot into center field. Altuve with a good swing there. And he's aboard with a 2-out single. So maybe it will turn for him in September, and he will have a furious final month of the season.
Got the barrel on it, his first at bat as well. So, yeah, like you say, you're always hoping for that nice turnaround, finish strong.
Altuve's aboard. He might be running. He has 30 stolen bases. That's 5th in the American League.
Guy makes a heck of a pitch. Guy lines it into center, and somebody's certain to say, that's baseball.
It's a little too all-encompassing sometimes when people throw that out there. You'd like to have some supporting evidence.
Not needed in this game, apparently.
Castro grounded at shortstop in the first inning. So Trevor Crowe and Jorge De Leon are the 2 September call-ups who have joined the Astros from Oklahoma City today. That's strike 1 to Jason. Iwakuma and King Felix Hernandez have been a very good 1-2 punch for this Mariners club this season. And we took a look at the rookie right-hander who opened this series. We saw Taijuan Walker make his major league debut Friday, but Erasmo Ramirez, the rookie right-hander, Thursday, and his stuff looked good. So have the makings of a very solid, deep rotation for 2014, Ash.
They're getting better, no doubt about it. I mentioned Michael Pineda, a guy the Mariners brought up a couple of years ago. Looked like he was the real deal. And he got involved in a trade, and his arm fell apart. That's the really tough thing with these young pitchers anymore. I shouldn't even say young pitchers. It's not young pitchers. It's all pitchers. You just don't know about the arm and how it's going to hold up.
Yeah. Well, that's baseball.
There you go. Now I understand a little bit better. Do they say that about football and basketball?
No, they don't.
Curling?
Nope.
That's curling.
That's curling. Strikeout, and that's number 4 for Iwakuma. No runs, a hit, a man stranded, no score after 3.
Welcome back. Scoreless game here in Houston, top of the fourth. Be sure to join us tomorrow for the start of a 3-game series against the Minnesota Twins. Coverage begins at 12:30 on Comcast Sportsnet, your home of your home teams, guys.
Julia, you had to read that promo, but look at this. This was happening while you were getting ready.
It's my dance partner.
We have found your dance partner for Dancing with the Astros. Look at this guy.
He's shuffling. Do you guys know how to shuffle?
No.
What's that word? Shuffle.
Shuffling.
Shuffling.
That was a summer 2012 dance.
Didn't know that, but look at this guy. He's dynamic. He got the crowd all fired up.
That's the way to drop on us that we're not just behind things, but we're like a year and a half behind things.
Like the Sox, too.
Thanks for that reminder.
Shuffleboard. Now we can handle that, Julia.
Shuffleboard.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Sparky taught me how to play shuffleboard recently. Steve Sparks.
Strike 1, 2.
He is quite an athlete, we must remind all.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing about those knuckleball pitchers. They're always looking for pastoral pursuits off the field.
Did he go to bocce ball as well?
Bocce ball is another very good pursuit. Yeah, we could do shuffleboard and bocce ball in the same day, actually. There's a pretty good bounce back factor there. Robbie Grossman over for this one.
And you can do it while being well beyond a year and a half behind the times.
Yeah.
Sparky,
Steve Sparks.
You know what Sparky did? He actually started by it was Lowell, the engineer in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see him, but he actually started off by telling us he really didn't know much about it, didn't really know how to play, and then he whipped all of us.
Where is Lowell? That other guy took his job.
Oh, you're right. He wasn't in there.
That's not Lowell.
He's out practicing.
We know Lowell, and you, sir, are no Lowell.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll find out who he is. And then Robert Ford is over there. And this guy's... No. Lowell's not here.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
Pepperoni?
He'll be on vacation. Oh, my. You do have fun, you guys, with the dancing and Sparky and all his gimmickry. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And it's time to go out on the road again after the Wednesday game. So who knows what this next trip will bring. As it's a Northwest trip for the Astros.
It will not bring Bill Brown.
No. Bring Jeff Blum.
Yes, it will.
And that's a good thing. Struck him out. That's number 5 for Overholtzer. I can just imagine Blummer on Obi's next start. He'll be into it. The way he's throwing the ball today.
Oh, Blummer isn't out there practicing shuffleboard right about now so he can compete with Sparky. Now, this changeup has been big here this afternoon.
Yeah. Shows an ability to get a feel for the hitters, what works. Kendrys Morales hit a fly ball to center field. Trevor Crowe caught it. Trevor's over in right center, and that's where Morales hit the ball last time. That's strike 1.
You know, when you think about great pitchers, they're by no means comparable. You can't just lump them in and say, here's what makes a great pitcher. And I was thinking of Tom Glavine.
Diving for it, VR. He can't come up with it.
Great Tom Glavine of Atlanta Braves fame, and he was a lot like this, where he just would spot it, change the speeds, just entice you as much as possible. Now, I keep waiting for Jonathan VR with all of his great tools to come up with some absolutely tremendous plays. And though he shows all the signs of it, the finished job hasn't happened yet. I haven't seen that play where I go, there's the play this guy is going to make for years to come. He's going to make them. The tools are clearly there.
Gutierrez is the batter. But yeah, Overholtzer and Glavine, that's been a comparison that some people have made in terms of pitching style. There's ball 1.
Now, Glavine would turn it over more than we see from Obi, but this changeup is making me think in that direction and kind of flipping the breaking ball, finding the outside edge. Of course, the plate's about 6 to 8 inches smaller than when Tom Glavine was able to take advantage of it.
Fly ball. Trevor Crowe comes in shallow left center field. What do they do? Shave it down?
Well, they made some new rules that you actually call strikes on pitches that find a little bit of the plate.
Oh. So they've gone back to the rule book again.
To some degree, I guess. Greg, what was the famous umpire's name? Greg?
Eric Gregg.
Eric Gregg. There you go. I said 6 to 8 inches. In the case of Eric Gregg in the postseason, that one year it might have been up to 12 inches of difference.
Michael Saunders grounded out his first time up. Twins nothing, Rangers nothing. Top of the first inning in Arlington, Texas. Travis Blackley starting for the Rangers against Kevin Correa. Blackley's pitched well with the Rangers. There's ball one. So the Twins, having traded Justin Morneau, will be headed this direction after their game today.
Like what the Astros are doing defensively at first base, and some of these don't want to really hold you at the bag, but would like to prevent you from running scenarios. Brett Wallace now, and can't name the number of times that it's come out of my mouth this year, but bring the first baseman up on the runner. The running game generally goes away, and you still play defense. And I just think it's a great way to kind of get everything you want.
Altuve, smooth pickup over to Wallace. And it's no runs, 1 hit, 1 man stranded, and this game is scoreless through 3.5.
Is the next big and bright Friday night. The Astros take on Mike Trout and the LA Angels of Anaheim at 7:10 that evening. Don't forget to stick around after the game for the best fireworks show in town, presented by Marathon Oil. And it's featuring music from the hit TV show Glee. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com for your tickets.
Iwakuma versus Overholtzer, no score, bottom of the 4th inning arriving. Matt Dominguez has one of the 3 Houston hits. He ripped a single to left, leading off the 2nd inning. He gets a first pitch breaking ball. There's strike 1.
Some guys, Brownie, have a nice home run looking swing, but they're not very big. In the case of Matt Dominguez, he's got plenty of size to back it up. And I hope that he doesn't alter this swing one bit at any point. His swing is marvelous right now.
Foul back, and it remains no balls, 2 strikes to Matt Dominguez.
Henry Blanco was moving well off that outside edge. Iwakuma missed back to the plate, and that's a pitch that I'm sure Matt Dominguez wished he had centered up a little better. You hate to see that catcher moving out there. Sometimes it will influence the umpire.
In the air to left field. Saunders back. And now in a little bit. Got underneath it. It's out number 1.
Second time in 2 games for Matt Dominguez where he's had a very good swing, just simply gotten under it. Look on the breaking ball. He waits with the hands and then full extension and just gets under. And he knows it right away. But that's exactly the pass you want on that pitch.
That's 1 out for Iwakuma.
You guys have no idea how far that ball should have gone.
Brett Wallace bounced into a force play earlier. Chris Carter on deck. Wallace takes a look at ball 1.
This is the other guy that's been taking a lot of very good swings.
It's 2-0. Tigers are resting Miguel Cabrera for the 2nd straight game. He has some abdominal problems. Dodgers traded with the Phillies and got Michael Young. Tap goes to first base. Smoke takes it. Out number 2.
I think Michael Young plays a prominent part in things from here on out for L.A.
No. How about you?
Yeah, that's kind of what I think as well. I think he's going to be one of those role players.
Elvis Andrus has left the Rangers game with a stiff back. Davey Johnson, the manager of the Nats, is going to speak with Bryce Harper. Chris Carter struck out in the 2nd. Harper has not been hustling all the time. And the interim manager, well, Davey missed a game and Randy Knorr took over for 1 game. And Randy Knorr made it very clear in an interview after that game that Bryce Harper does not always hustle. And they were going to have to speak to him about that and maybe pull him out of games if that continued.
You know, it's intriguing because one of the things about Bryce Harper when he initially came to the big leagues was that he'd run through a wall. And he did it this year quite close to literally, but the guy that would go hard at all times. It's amazing what a little success can do with a guy.
Yeah. It's 2-1. So he trotted up the line on a routine ground ball to second. The second baseman kind of bobbled it, but he would have been out anyway if he had run hard. But that didn't go down well with management of the Nationals. That's rolled foul. Davey Johnson said, my opinion is you take nothing for granted. You hit a ground ball, the guy could boot it, you run. Anytime you don't go hard, it's a losing attitude. And he said, with him, I'm in between knowing if he's babying his knee because he's usually 100% in, but I'll talk to him.
Speaking of deals, what do you think the acquisition by the Pirates of Justin Morneau means?
It could really help them. He's not having his best year, certainly, but first base has been a weakness for them in terms of not providing power hitting. Wouldn't you have to feel this guy is just tremendously energized?
He's not the same guy as you say that he once was. 17 dingers, though, and a 74 RBI. Says he's still viable in terms of driving in runs.
That's right. And, you know, I would have to applaud Neil Huntington. There's ball 4. Carter recognized the slider and laid off it. In the past, he might have swung at that pitch. But that time, he works the 2-out walk, and it's Trevor Crowe coming up. So, yeah, I think Morneau addresses the situation with the Pirates of being in a tight pennant race. And, you know, they've already got Marlon Byrd. He hit a big home run for them a couple nights ago. They picked up John Buck, who's playing today. That'll give Russell Martin a little rest behind the plate. And now they get Morneau, left-handed power hitter with a short porch in right field. And if he could help them win 1 or 2 games, that might make a world of difference. Remembering that a wild card team is in a 1-game playoff, and a division winner does not have to worry about just 1 game in the playoff series.
All the difference in the world winning that division. This perspective doesn't always play out. In fact, it may not play out 50% of the time. But the perspective of the St. Louis Cardinals and their players and fans, probably when they heard that the Pirates got Justin Morneau, I would imagine was one of, oh dear, Pirates just got better.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. Around a bunt, Crow takes it, and a different mentality with the Pirates than the Cardinals have. The Cardinals make the playoffs all the time. It's been a 20-year drought for the Pirates, so they're willing to give up a little bit more in terms of prospects to get there. They're all in.
Kind of a rite of passage for the Cardinals.
Yeah. That's not to say the Cardinals aren't all in and that they might win the division. It wouldn't be a big shocker, but just weren't willing to make that kind of a deal. They didn't need a first baseman, of course, in that case.
Still a chance Dusty Baker can rally his troops in Cincinnati and make that team surprise some folks.
How would you kind of handicap the NL Central right now?
I don't know, and I don't know how much better the Pirates got with the Morneau acquisition. What's the pitching they recently acquired? Did they pick up some pitching as well?
They might have gotten a reliever. We'll have to check on that.
But you know, the name the St. Louis Cardinals carries a lot of weight. It feels like a team that probably should win, and they've got a lot of players playing very well. So I'd probably lean to the Cardinals. Cincinnati Reds, you look at the numbers, they're not as good as maybe what they were a year ago. A very good club a year ago. Dusty Baker finds a way. My heart roots for the Pirates. My wallet would probably lean to the Cardinals.
Are you going to make a stop in Las Vegas on the way out to Oakland?
I don't intend to do so.
Okay. Because I've never known you to do that.
No.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
No, I really am not one of those wagering types, but you know, if I was to pull out a nickel out of my pocket, I probably would drop it on the cards. What about you?
Well, a nickel's a little much.
Yeah, I have to root for the Pirates, though. It's been too long.
Yeah. Since the Doug Drabek days. 3-2, 2 outs. Carter's going. And Crow hits it to left field, hits it well. Saunders looking up. That bangs off the wall. Carter is being stopped at third base. And there's a double for Crow. Crow is 2 for 2 in his return to the Astros. Dave Tremblay threw up a stop sign for Carter. The ball was played well off the wall by Saunders. And it's second and third, 2 outs. You know Tremblay wanted to send him, but it was handled cleanly.
Yeah, I felt like it was a wise hold at that point, but that's exactly the way Trevor Crow hit that home run in his first start this year for Houston. Almost in the seats right above where this ball hits. And Trevor Crow doing a lot here this afternoon to make himself look quite valuable once again. Just too risky, even with 2 outs, to send Chris Carter around third base.
Second double of the year for Crow. LJ Holtz will try to pick up the Astros with a hit with a man in scoring position. Something they have not had in their last 5 games. Holtz grounded out with runners at first and third for the final out in the second inning. There's ball 1. Jonathan VR on deck. Just looking for transactions, because you were talking about the Pirates. I noticed that Evan Gattis was optioned to Gwinnett by the Braves yesterday. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they did such a great job behind the plate early on this year.
Yeah, so that would mean he would not be playoff eligible. 2 balls, no strikes.
See where Kyle Farnsworth has been activated for the Pirates from Indy. I had actually forgotten that he had been sent down. So they strengthened that bullpen a bit.
Guy's been through a lot of pennant races. There's a shot up the middle. Diving play. Oh, Franklin. Tremendous effort by Nick Franklin at second base to snuff out a rally. And it's no runs, a hit, 2 men stranded. Franklin with a gorgeous layout, and it's still scoreless. September 1st, 1975, Tom Seaver becomes the first pitcher to strike out at least 200 batters in 8 consecutive seasons. The victory is also Tom Terrific's 20th of the season on September 1st, 1975. It was a classic drop and drive power pitcher. Really used his legs to get down low and thrust toward the plate. It gave him that power, and he was just a tremendous Hall of Fame pitcher. Just kept racking up the 20-win seasons. Then he had his differences with the Mets front office and was traded to the Cincinnati Reds in 1977 and began a whole new phase of his career, and then later moved on to pitch for other teams. Justin Smoak hits it in the air, and the left fielder comes over for it. Robbie Grossman churning over near the line. Foul ball for strike one. Smoak drew a walk his first time up. Third base umpire Bruce Dreckman with the call. They're looking up at the ceiling where it apparently hit above foul territory, making it a foul ball and not in play. We were just talking about that a couple nights ago.
Really have a nightmare if a portion of that was hanging over fair territory.
Well, now the umpires are going to confer here.
Yeah. I thought that that had been said about that set of beam work up there, that it was all in foul territory, so that if you ever saw it hit, you would know it was a foul ball. But the further you go toward the Crawford boxes, it appears that some of it does become fair.
Eric Wedge looking up. He's been reassured by Tim Welke about that being a foul ball. But there's that one beam that's fair, you can tell.
Yeah. I think it's foul as you come toward home plate, but at some point it crosses into the dark side.
That was strike one to Justin Smoak. Two hopper to third. Dominguez throws out Smoak for out number one. And Dustin Ackley will come up. Well, Ackley has really been a good hitter since moving to the outfield. It's somewhat unusual. Sometimes a position change does not bring out the best offensively in a player, but it has with him. Ackley takes, and there's strike one.
Not always easy for that talented youngster to hit the big leagues, and even if he might have a nice quick start, struggles will follow. Major league pitchers find a way to go after you.
He's hit .318 as an outfielder. One ball, one strike.
You wonder, is there really anything to that? Did he suddenly relax once he became an outfielder, or was it just a matter of sequence where things started to work for him as a hitter about that same time? Never know.
In the dirt for a ball, it's 2-1.
That said, you tend not to mess with what's working.
Yeah. Ackley has hit .386 against the Astros with 9 runs batted in this year. You know, just looking at the Pirates roster, Ash, doesn't look like they did acquire a pitcher.
No, I couldn't find that either, and so they need Jason Grilli back, though.
He could be close. He's throwing again to live hitters now. Chopped up the line. Wallace with the toss to Overholtzer. 2 outs. So yeah, Grilli could be a big lift for that club.
Boy, Brett Overholtzer's having himself an afternoon. We mentioned that the last start, a little bit on the rugged side, but he's bounced back beautifully here this afternoon.
Dominguez comes over. He realized that the pitcher had to cover, so he's helping him to get back into a nice breathing pattern again. Blanco struck out in the 3rd inning. The other thing about watching baseball players is takes a number of repetitions sometimes to get a handle on a baseball player, and that's why the number of games played becomes important in evaluating. Watching Overholtzer, he's not a 6'3" strapping left-hander who throws 95, but he really competes well.
A lot of times it's a guy like Overholtzer who doesn't get the initial look, but when he does get a look, shows some promise. And I don't know that that's the case right now, but he certainly has shown promise, and we'll see how it all plays out for him.
If the season ended today for the Astros, would he be in your plans for their starting rotation next year if you were in a decision-making situation?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. He clearly would be in my plans to say, look, you're in the competition, you will go to battling with the other guys. But he's taken such a large step forward that it would be hard to deny him that possibility. Yeah, I guess he, especially combined with the fact that he's left-handed, probably vaults himself to somebody's, well, not even somebody's going to beat you out. You're going to have to stumble before you fall out of the chance to be in the rotation.
In the air, and Wallace comes in from first base over to foul territory to make that grab. It's a 1-2-3-5 for Overholtzer, keeping this game scoreless. Score here. We go to the bottom of the fifth, and it is trivia time. Today's trivia is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. And Phil Boudreau's come up with this one. Who is the only player to play for both the Seattle Pilots and the Seattle Mariners? You're all over this, Ash.
Yeah, you heard me chime right in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my microphone wasn't working. Boy.
Seattle Pilots and Seattle Mariners. Jonathan Villar, the batter. Villar popped to third, his first time up. The Seattle Pilots moved to Milwaukee and became the Brewers. I'll go with Raul Ibanez.
Wow.
1 ball and 1 strike.
Actually, that was a question we had amongst ourselves before the game today. What player between these two rosters has more career hits than Miguel Cabrera? And the answer was Raul Ibanez.
That was a good one. Franklin takes care of out number 1. He made a terrific play on Hose with 2 men on to end the 4th inning. That one a routine. And now it's Robbie Grossman. Robbie has struck out both times in this game.
You know, I think you meant that fully as a compliment.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it at that.
No, I did. I really did. That's a lengthy career he's had. He's been with the Mariners 3 different times. But a pilot and a Mariner, now that's a totally different issue here. There's ball 1. Seattle Pilots.
Wouldn't be Harold Reynolds, would it? I don't know how far to stretch it. Oh, I get buzzed.
Sounded like not.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're out of the game, though. You can still guess. You've not been sent to the penalty box. 2-0. Seattle Pilots. Seattle Mariners. That's a stumper.
Okay, so.
You're looking it up.
No, I'm not.
Oh. You're moving your fingers around on your computer. 2 balls and a strike.
Do you know who played on the Seattle Pilots, who was one of my idols as a kid, as an L.A. Dodger? Tommy Davis.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Couldn't have been Tommy Davis, could it?
No.
Getting buzzed all over.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Robbie Grossman. Tommy Davis.
You know another great name that played on the Seattle Pilots?
No.
Billy Williams, the great outfielder.
Did he?
Yeah.
Strikeout. That's 3 for Grossman today. 5 in the game for you. All right, what's the answer? Diego Segui. Oh, sure. Diego Segui.
We were mulling that one over.
We should have gotten that.
He was 31 years of age while playing for the Pilots and went 12-6.
Who was Diego Segui?
See, now you're toying with me. You're just purely toying.
Jose Altuve. Takes strike 1. He pitched for about 100 years, didn't he?
He did. He pitched for Kansas City.
Yeah.
Washington. I don't even know who this club is. SEP? What?
Don't know what SEP.
Well, I guess is that Seattle Pilots? That would be Seattle Pilots.
Seattle Pilots.
Oakland A's, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Boston Red Sox.
Line shot Altuve into right center field. And he's 2 for 3 in this game. The Astros continue to sprinkle hits around, but they've had a rough series scoring runs. They had 8 hits last night. They were all singles. They lost 3-1. And they had 4 hits Friday night, lost 7-1. 1 extra base hit in that one. They lost 3-2 Thursday night on 5 hits. Jason Castro is 0 for 2. He grounded to short and he struck out. Diego Segui.
How would Phil Boudreau ever have that come to his attention?
He thinks about Diego Segui all the time. He was ordering a ham sandwich in 1994 and he thought about Diego Segui. That's a good one, Phil.
Thing is, I don't think you're joking.
I'm not joking, really.
No, I know.
He does. Diego Segui. That's just so we won't forget him, right?
Where in the world is Diego Segui?
Couldn't tell you. Rolled past the mound. Franklin with the toss to Miller. They get the force on Altuve. No runs, a hit, and a man stranded. And after 5, it's scoreless. Earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and we're going to show you some of the fine work of Brett Overholtzer today. Curveball, he's just really mixed it up. That's what he's been doing, Ash. And the hitters are expanding their zone. They're swinging at pitches that are clearly balls, but he's got them mesmerized. And he struck out 5, gotten some ground ball outs too, given up just 2 hits and no runs in 5 innings. 68 pitches for Brett Overholtzer up against a tough mound opponent in Iwakuma, and he has stood toe-to-toe with Iwakuma through 5. In fact, he's really outpitched Iwakuma, but Iwakuma has gotten some key outs with men in scoring position. And the Astros have had more chances than the Mariners, but it's 0-0. Houston has out-hit Seattle 5-2, no errors in the game. The Astros have stranded 6, the Mariners have left 3. And now here's Brad Miller. Miller is 1 for 2. He's single to right. Backs a line drive. Crow over to catch it. 1 pitch out there for Obi.
Brad Miller can sting the baseball. 1 pitch, 1 out. Next pitch will be number 70. Brett Overholtzer already an out into the 6th inning. Very nice totals.
Nick Franklin has struck out both times. Here's strike 1. Right-handed batters are only hitting .215 against Overholtzer. Later on today, the Tampa Bay Rays will be playing at Oakland again. Line drive over Wallace into right field. That was hammered by Franklin. Franklin now 1 for 3. So both balls have been stung in this inning. And it's Seager coming up next.
It's pretty hitting. Brett Wallace got up the elevator chute, just was 1 floor shy.
Seager struck out in the 1st swinging, and again in the 4th swinging. Mets and Nationals play tonight in Washington. That'll be Jonathan Neese against Ross Ollendorf. Marlins and Braves have a later start this afternoon. That's a line drive to right field. Hose over for the catch. So all 3 balls have been hit on the button, but 2 outs and a man on first for Overholtzer.
Just about the point from the opposing dugout, you hear somebody holler out, "You got them popping up." One way or another, you're glad to get some outs. But not fooling anybody right about now.
Kendrys Morales hit a deep drive to right center, caught by Crow, and got an infield hit to short. Hit the ball to the left of VR, who made a diving try at it, but it then trickled out of his glove. Rangers lead the Twins 1-0 after 2 on a Mitch Moreland homer, his 21st. That's strike 1. See what we have coming up for that Minnesota series. It starts tomorrow. There's a 1:10 start here tomorrow. In fact, it's going to be Paul Clemens and Andrew Albers. Albers a left-hander. Twins haven't named their starter for Tuesday night. Jared Cozart goes for Houston. Wednesday afternoon at 1:10, it's Jordan Lyles and Liam Hendricks. Big cut there by Morales, and it's 0-2. Reds and Rockies have a later start today. Mike Leake going against Tyler Chatwood in that one. The Red Sox lead the White Sox 7-4. They're in the middle of the 4th inning in Boston. Stephen Drew hit his 11th home run. Ground ball 3rd. Dominguez to 2nd. 2 Altuve for the force on Franklin. From 5-4, no runs, a hit, and a man left. Still scoreless.
still no score in Houston as we head to the bottom of the 6th. Sunday, September 15th is Dog Day at Minute Maid Park, brought to you by Purina. Bring your canine companion along to watch the Astros take on the Angels and enjoy dog-friendly activities such as the Pet Talk Costume Contest, pregame Pooch Parade, and Vendor Expo. Get you and your dog's ticket by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com.
Thanks, Julia. We look forward to it. A lot of September baseball coming up here. The Astros have those 3 games remaining with the Twins. The next 3, and then they'll go on the road for a week. Matt Dominguez leads off the home 6th inning. He hit a line drive single to left in the 2nd, a warning track fly ball to left in the 4th. Takes upstairs for ball 1. The Astros have out-hit the Mariners 5-3. No errors in the game. The Astros hit 179 in the first 3 games of this series against Seattle, with 4 runs in those games. Trying to get their attack started. They are 0 for their last 22 now, with men in scoring position. They just couldn't get a big 2-out hit in the 2nd, leaving 2 men on, or the 4th, leaving 2 men on. Took a great play by Franklin on Hose there. Seager takes care of out number 1 on Dominguez. And we were talking about it. There it is. The Twins are in for 3, and then 4 on the road in Oakland, 3 in Seattle, coming back for an off day before the next homestand begins with the Angels.
You're going to miss the O.co.
Yep, that's a rocking place. It's rocking right now with Tampa Bay in town and Oakland playing good baseball. The A's won again last night. Brett Wallace is 0 for 2. He's hit the ball on the ground both times against Iwakuma. The fly ball left field toward the corner. Saunders over. Now he plays it off the wall. Here's the throw into 2nd. He'll hold him to a single. Great play by Saunders. And Wallace has to settle for a single with the range and the arm of Saunders in left.
Saunders, known as an outstanding outfielder. Don't know if he could have gotten to this ball. It looks like this ball hits off the base of the wall down, pretty close to ground level, and so maybe Wallace catches a break. That's putting on the brakes.
Hit number 6 for Houston. Wallace is aboard. Chris Carter the batter. Carter struck out swinging in the 2nd. He walked in the 4th.
Did I actually hear the brakes being put on?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
That's ball 1.
Time to check the tread there for Brett.
Felix Drought gave up 4 runs in 3 2/3 in his start for Boston today, but the Red Sox lead the White Sox 7-4 in the 5th inning. Xander Bogaerts is playing at third base with Stephen Drew at shortstop again today. It's been what the Red Sox have been doing. 1-1. And, you know, the talk is that Stephen Drew's a free agent. If Bogaerts can hit, he becomes their third baseman, and that solves a problem there. And maybe they re-sign Drew to come back at shortstop. He's had an impact defensively on that club. Foul back by Carter. It's 1-2 to Chris.
Time for a big swing here, Brownie. Sorry.
Yeah, it would be a good time to air one out. Oliver Perez is warming up. We've had a flip-flop at Yankee Stadium. The Orioles are now in front, 7-3. They just had a 7-run 7th inning. They got 2 homers, one from J.J. Hardy, his 24th, another from Adam Jones, his 28th. Popped up. Seager comes in. The catcher Blanco's over. Blanco with the catch, 2 outs. And Trevor Crowe, who's 2 for 2, will come around again. A single to center in the 2nd inning, double to left in the 4th. Julia?
Hey, Brownie, talking to Crow before the game today, he said he's really just trying to focus on finishing the season strong. But he said he made an adjustment to his stance that's helped him recently, trying to stay more balanced and avoid drifting back before the pitch comes. It looks like it's helped so far today.
Well, he's had 2 very good at-bats. He had a 2-2 count before his single in the second and then worked the count full in the fourth. So he's seen several pitches so far from Iwakuma. It's like a nice balanced stance there. Popped up foul. Seager over. And this time Iwakuma gets Crow and makes it a scoreless 6th on 1 hit with a man left. We move to the 7th with this game 0-0.
Kids every Saturday morning at 9:30 on CSN. Chevy Hometown Kids, where it's not about the score, but the experience.
Thanks, Julia. We're moving to inning number 7, and it is a scoreless ball game. Kids enjoying the day.
There's an experience for you.
Yeah. Franklin Gutierrez steps up to face Brett Overholtzer. Gutierrez is 0 for 2. Obi's allowed just 3 hits. They've all been singles. And he's walked only 1 through 6 innings. Pitch number 76 comes in for strike 1 call. Oklahoma City will be playing at home tonight against Memphis. Playoff bound Red Hawks are going with a spot starter, and they've called him up, Blair Walters from High A Lancaster, to make his AAA debut. No balls, 2 strikes. Tony DeFrancesco manages that club, and he's probably getting his playoff rotation in order. Playoffs due to open for that club Wednesday. Gutierrez takes it. It's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. $17,203 is the paid attendance today. Well, this is amazing. Walters will be the 22nd different starting pitcher used by the Red Hawks this year. VR glides to his left, makes a strong throw. That's an outstanding play for out number 1. He covered a lot of territory.
There's some of that ability that we were talking about earlier for Jonathan VR. And he just seems to have a blast playing the game. But he's loaded and just keep wanting to see these plays that kind of get beyond the norm.
That's 1 out, and now it's Saunders. Saunders 0 for 2, 2 ground outs to Jose Altuve. Oklahoma City has been joined by a player from AA Corpus Christi now. Here's ball 1. Reliever Andrew Robinson joined them today. because they lost Jorge De Leon to the Astros, so they pick up some reinforcements from a playoff-bound Corpus Christi team. Two balls, no strikes. That Tri-City team now has fallen a half game out of first place after losing to Lowell 5-2. And that could be the 6th minor league playoff team in the Astros system. And they have lost 4 games over a 4-day period in the standings. So it's crunch time for them with just a few games to go. 2 balls and a strike. Astros have never had 6 affiliates qualify for the postseason. Valley Cats are just a half game out of first now with 4 games to play. Going for it, Grossman in left field down the line, and that ball's up in the seats. Orbit have a spill. Oh, he's wiping off the lipstick.
He's got the moves. You know, that's pretty remarkable. You talk about the minor league clubs and their success this year. 2006, the year after the World Series year for the big league team here, was the year that 5 teams from the minor leagues won their leagues. We're talking right on the heels of the Astros going to the World Series. Now, that's pretty remarkable because I think in most cases you're loading up on the major league side. You're losing some of that minor league talent. But clearly that wasn't the case in 2006.
Yeah, it was all going well. Pop up, Wallace coming in. Overholtzer's calling. Overholtzer takes care of it himself.
That looked good.
Yes, it did look good.
You just don't see that happen, but that looked good.
No problem.
So that rule in the clubhouse is going to be, and when the pitcher calls you off, get out of there. And we used to always hear otherwise. Don't even think about calling on a pop fly to the pitcher. But Overholtzer apparently is a very capable guy out there.
Infield shifts around for Smoke. Smoke has walked and grounded to third. Altuve's over on the shortstop side, and Villar's on the grass. Breaking pitch comes in for strike 1. The Oklahoma City Redhawks were 18-12 in August. And they hit 21 homers during the month. Villar comes in for it. It's a 1-2-3 7th inning. And the fans will be rising to sing God Bless America here during the 7th inning stretch on a Sunday. With the score, Seattle 0, Houston 0.
America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
one Texas tradition to another. Whataburger, proudly serving Texas baseball fans since 1950.
The stars at night are big.
Join the Astros Sunday, September 15th at the House of Blues for Dancing with the Stros, benefiting baseball and softball programs for at-risk youth at the Astros Urban Youth Academy. To get your tickets, visit astros.com/dancing.
Oh, yeah. Join Julia and Kevin and all the wonderful dancers provided by the Astros, and then their teammates will be judging the dance contest. September 15th. In the evening, there's a day game prior to that, and I think it starts about 7 o'clock. Is that what we're hearing? 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Doors open at 6.
Can you start dancing before the sun goes down?
Yes. LJ Hose leads it off. He's grounded out twice. There's strike one to him. And both times he's come up, there have been 2 men on base. So Iwakuma has gotten 2 of the most important outs for him in this game by retiring Hose. VR is on deck. Grossman due up third in the inning. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count for Sashi Iwakuma. He was 9-5 last year for Seattle with a 3.16 ERA. He's already won 12 this year. This is his 29th start. Missing there. It's 2-1. 93 pitches now for Iwakuma. Foul back, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mariners have not swept a 4-game series since they did it last July. From Kansas City and Seattle, they have lefty Charlie Furbush warming up. He's pitched 58 times this year. Off-speed pitch and a strikeout. That's number 6.
Iwakuma has a splitter that I don't think many hitters feel like they're friendly with at all. Tough pitch to pick up. It comes out of the hand like the fastball and just doesn't have the velocity and sinks like crazy.
Jonathan VR has popped third and grounded second. Good pitching duel today. 0-0. 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. Total of 9 hits in the game. Strike one for VR. He fouls it. No balls, 2 strikes. Seager had moved in on the grass at third. Now he'll back up. According to one source, there's a strong chance the Mets will keep their skipper, Terry Collins, for next year. In for strike 3. That's number 7 now.
Wicked late movement on that fastball.
Sure was.
Starts inside, and once VR gives up, that thing just darts back to the plate.
This is a dandy duel. Now Robbie Grossman, he's 0 for 3 with 3 punch-outs. Altuve, who has 2 hits, is on deck.
It's a Gooden Mike Scott duel here this afternoon.
It really is interesting. Roller up the line at first. Smoke takes it. The 7th inning goes quickly, and it's 0-0 through 7.
.com @FAT is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. @FAT delivers Astros baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and a whole lot more. Text @FAT to 31826 or visit Astros.com for your details.
Well, these fans have watched a game without any scoring through the first 7. Hisashi Iwakuma versus Brett Overholtzer, and now these two combatants move to the 8th inning. And it's Dustin Ackley starting it off in the 8th. He is flied to left on 1 pitch and grounded to first with the pitcher covering in the 5th inning. Overholtzer had 87 pitches through the first 7. Strike 1. He continues to pound the strike zone today. The Mariners have won 10 of their last 14 road games. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Well, since the 12th of July, Cozart, Peacock, Overholtzer, and Clemens, all rookie starters, have combined for a 2.43 ERA in 19 starts. Sharply hit, backhanded out Altuve, throwing, and he got him.
What a play. We have seen each second baseman here this afternoon make a gem, and this one on the move. Altuve could not plant the right foot to try to make the throw, but very quickly gets rid of the ball and on line. That is a tough play. Try running directly away from where you want to throw a ball and see how easy that is.
That's out number 1. Now Henry Blanco in the air to center. Trevor Crowe. 2 outs.
That line drive to the outfielders has been attempted a few times today.
Yeah. It's the 4th 1-pitch out in the game for Overholtzer. Brad Miller has one of the Seattle 3 hits. That was a 3rd inning single to right. He's 1 for 3. Hit the ball on the screws, lining out to Crowe in the 6th inning. That was one of the 1-pitch outs for Overholtzer. So the bullpen is not needed to swing into action for Houston. Strike 1. The Astros do not have a complete game this season. Fouled away, and it's no balls, 2 strikes. Overholtzer went 7 starts in his first trip to the mound as a major league starter. That was in Baltimore, July 31st. 7 shutout innings and a 11-0 win. And then in his next start here against Boston, he duplicated that. 7 shutout innings and a 2-0 win. Then he went 6 2/3 and 6, and last time out 5 1/3. In the air to right field. AT HOU's moving in for it. And Overholtzer's not budging. He's staying on 0. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th.
Astros, Dynamo, Rockets, and more. We have all your sports news covered. Check out Sportsnet Central 7 days a week at 6, 10, and midnight on Comcast Sportsnet, your home of your home teams.
It is 0-0, and there is Iwakuma getting some pats on the back for his 7 innings of 6-hit shutout baseball, walking 1, fanning 7, throwing 99 pitches. And now the lefty Charlie Furbush, 27 years old, from South Portland, Maine, comes in. He did some pitching at LSU in college. In 58 games, he's 2-4 with a 3.02 ERA.
Yeah, we've seen him in the series and talked about the fact that he's just torn up left-hand hitters, and the overall 171 batting average against speaks to a heck of a season for the lefty.
Well, he gets a right-handed hitter to start, Jose Altuve, then lefty Jason Castro and right-hander Matt Dominguez to bat against Furbush here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Altuve has 2 hits for the Astros, a single to center and another one to right. Kansas City and James Shields with relief help shut out Toronto in Toronto 5-0, a combined 3-hitter. Shields going to 10-8. He beats Jay Happ, who is 3-5. Shields went 7 innings. Happ went 4 innings, giving up 3 earned runs. That's strike 1 for Altuve. So there's 1 shutout on the board today, and the Astros would love to add another one of their own. Nobody stirring in their bullpen as Altuve bats to try to get a run for Overholtzer. Or maybe a multiple run inning, but that's been tough with Furbush on the mound. Bouncer up the line. Altuve is hustling around first. Gutierrez comes after it. That's a double for Altuve, leading off the home 8. His third hit. 23rd double for Altuve.
That's the way you want to start any inning late in the ball game. When you especially are locked up in a scoreless affair. Pretty hitting. Put it on the ground, hit it sharply, and take your chances.
Punched it up the right field line. Second double for the Astros today. That's hit number 7 for them. 23 doubles for Altuve. He's in scoring position for Castro. Castro's 0 for 3. And you clued us in on how tough Furbush has been on lefty hitters. That's the challenge for Castro right now. Furbush in the top 10 in American League relievers among strikeouts per 9 innings on relievers. And there's strike 1. He picked up his team leading 16th hold in the opener of this series. Seattle 6 for 21 with runners in scoring position this series. Houston 0 for 18. And going back to the previous game now, 0 for their last 22 for the Astros with men in scoring position. Miller is hounding Altuve there at second. It's 0-2 to Castro.
Tardy for class right here. Fastball just thrown by.
Furbush got a hold in the 3-2 win Thursday night, working one hitless inning. And then he bounced right back Friday with another hitless inning in the 7-1 win. So 3 appearances in the 4-game series for Charlie. The slider goes outside, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Jason Castro against left-hand pitching this year, hitting .223. That's a drastic improvement from a year ago. In fact, great improvement from the start of this season.
He's been a lot better lately against the lefties. He rocks this one a long way to right center field. Altuve will score the first run of the game. The ball bounces high and goes into the bullpen. 1-0 Houston. A double for Castro, his 35th. RBI number 54 for Jason Castro. Back-to-back doubles put the Astros on the board.
Well, that's timely and snaps that runners in scoring position drought the club's been in. Castro got a fastball with a couple of strikes on him up and through the heart of the plate. Taught that thing a lesson.
He swung the bat with malice that time. He rocked that 1-2 pitch, hit it a long way. Now Matt Dominguez is 1 for 3. 35 doubles for Castro. This one's a fly ball to right. Castro will be tagging. Big time arm for Gutierrez. Gutierrez airs it out. Castro into third. Out number 1 gets him over to third base on the fly ball by Dominguez.
Nicely done. You could see Matt Dominguez shooting for that direction. And with those good swings he's getting, gets enough hang time to get it out there where Castro can move up.
Gutierrez makes the throw. Castro in.
Well, he's digging hard.
Now we'll get a pinch hitter. It's going to be Brandon Barnes pinch hitting for Brett Wallace. Wallace was 1 for 3. Barnes gives the Astros percentages in their favor. And the infield will be coming in. Barnes is hitting .237. He's had 342 at bats. He has 6 homers, 30 runs batted in. Taking a long look down at signs now.
Yeah, is there any intention here with Barnes to maybe have a guy who can lay down a bunt? That squeeze has been prominent this year.
That was the thought. Barnes has hit lefties, .292 against them. Taking ball 1.
I would say you don't want to waste a strike, however, right here. This is pinch hit time. You're sent up there as righty versus lefty. Take advantage if you get a chance to swing it.
Dave Tremblay with signs for Barnes. Barnes is hitting .339 with men in scoring position.
Third baseman came over to listen into what Dave Tremblay might have had to say there with Jason Castro.
Runner's coming. Here's the squeeze, and it's fouled. Castro had a big break, but Barnes couldn't get the bunt down, so it's strike one.
That's the straight up squeeze. That's the suicide version. We haven't seen it a whole lot this year. Did see it recently, and Seager clearly didn't get the message down at third base. Third baseman will step in there to find out if this play might be on, and nice job by Barnes to at least get a piece. That's what the play is all about. You trust the hitter to make sure and get a piece as he tries to lay down a bunt. But there's always a code word that the third base coach will pass on to the runner, and that code word, you hope, isn't something that's picked up by the third baseman.
1 ball, 1 strike. Seager's very close to the bag at third. Squeeze again, and this time he gets it down, and the run scores, and nobody's at first. And the Astros lead it 2-0. They come right back with a squeeze, and Barnes, given a second chance, gets the runner home.
I don't know what Nick Franklin's doing on this play, charging toward the plate. You've got to ask yourself, if the bunt is laid down, who's going to cover first base? Well, that's the case, and the Astros take advantage. Back-to-back suicide squeezes. And our boys in the truck were calling.
It's 2-0. Back-to-back doubles, back-to-back squeeze bunt tries. The second one works for Barnes. Barnes picks up the RBI, number 31. And he's trying to get loose now. He's doing a little running after coming off the bench to pinch hit for Brett Wallace. That works well, and it's hit number 9 for the Astros.
A lot of times that suicide squeeze can be quite daunting for a hitter, but if you lay it down and you pick up the RBI, you'll stand down at first base and you'll think, I've never had an easier ribby.
Stay tuned for Astros Postgame Live, presented by MD Anderson, making cancer history. Big bunt by Barnes gives the Astros an added run, an insurance run to give them a 2-0 lead at least, and now they're looking for more with Chris Carter. Carter is 0 for 2 with a walk. And the throw goes over on Barnes. Barnes with 10 stolen bases in 17 tries. Takes a look over Dave Tremblay.
And now suddenly blessed with a 2-run lead, the running game can come into play.
Now Bo Porter can shoot the works now. Nobody warming up in his bullpen. Strike to Carter. Trevor Crowe on deck. The Mariners are 7-2 at Minute Maid Park this year. They've won 6 in a row from the Astros, all of them in this ballpark. Throw goes over on Barnes. Oakland got a run in the first on a Coco Crisp homer, his 16th of the year, to lead the Rays 1-0 now. They're in the top of the second inning with A.J. Griffin taking that lead. To left center field, back toward the bullpen. Ackley gives way. Saunders with the catch. Barnes tagged, but no advance. 2 outs. Now Trevor Crowe's had a big day with a single and a double in 3 trips. He hit a 4th at bat, but maybe against a different pitcher. Yep, going to be a change now. Burbush will come out of this game. Eric Wedge will move on to pitcher number 3 of the day, and he'll do so with Houston leading it 2-0. We'll be right back. The Astros still batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. And one of the September recalls around Major League Baseball is the former closer of the Mariners, Tom Wilhelmsen. He was sent to the minors in early August. He has 24 saves and 29 opportunities, but he had been hit with a slump. He's 0-3 with a 4.37 ERA. The Mariners made a change at closer and sent him to AAA Tacoma, but he didn't get anybody out there. And he had a high ERA of 10.50 in 8 games with Tacoma, giving up 14 earned runs in 12 innings.
Low batting average against on the season, but high walk totals.
Trevor Crow's the batter. Crow is 2 for 3. Wilhelmsen, 29 years old, from Tucson. Did quite a job for Seattle last year with 29 saves and 34 tries. Had 73 appearances with a 2.50 ERA. Former 7th round draft choice of Milwaukee in 2002. Spent 4 years out of organized baseball. Quite a story last year at Seattle as he attained that role of closer and did well. And there's strike one to Crow. But he definitely has fallen upon hard times, and he's lost that closer job to Danny Farquhar. LJ Hose is on deck. Yankees batting bottom of the 9th, trailing the Orioles 7-3 after giving up 7 in the 7th. Chop to first on one big bounce for Smoke, and he takes care of out number 3. 2-run score on 3 hits. An Altuve double, followed by a Castro RBI double, followed by a barn squeeze bunt. 2-0 Astros moving to the 9th. Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. It could be a first for the Astros here in 2013. They lead it 2-0. Brandon Barnes, who put down the squeeze bunt for run number 2, stays in to play center field. And the former DH Chris Carter now is the first baseman. Brett Wallace leaving for the pinch hitter Barnes. So that means there is no designated hitter. And if the game would continue, the pitcher would bat in the number 7 spot. But Brett Overholtzer has no intention of letting that happen. Nick Franklin takes his first pitch here in the 9th inning. Franklin 1 for 3. Kevin Chapman warming up in the bullpen for Houston. And it's ball 1. 8 straight have been retired by Overholtzer, trying to become the first to pitch a complete game shutout for Houston this season. It's a strike and it's 1-1. The Astros have had 4 shutouts. They've all been combined shutouts. And the most innings pitched by an Astros starter, 8 2/3 by Dallas Keuchel August 11th against Texas. Franklin falls behind 1-2. Keuchel beat or lost to Texas 6-1 on that occasion when he went 8 2/3 innings. It's a 2-ball 2-strike count. Overholtzer shooting for win number 4 with the Astros. It's always just one of those special moments for a pitcher when he can walk off the mound a winner after shutting out the other club. It's 3 balls 2 strikes. The Mariners have been shut out 9 times this season. Overholtzer became the first Astro since Randy Neiman in 1979 to go at least 6 2/3 innings while allowing 2 or fewer runs in each of his first 3 career starts. This is career start number 6 for Brett. Pitch number 100 hit in the air to left field. Robbie Grossman over. 1 out.
A lot of confidence in the breaking ball on the 3-2. You don't want to walk that leadoff man in the 9th inning after picking up a couple of runs. He brings the slider, gets the fly ball.
73 strikes of his 100 pitches. Kyle Seager's 0 for 3. Baltimore beat the Yankees 7-3 with that 7-run 7th inning. Andy Pettitte gave up 2 of the runs in his 6 innings of work. The bullpen completely imploded for the Yankees. The winning pitcher was Kevin Gossman. In the air, and this is what can happen in a race, and in this case a wild card race in the American League. The competitors knock each other off, and that makes it really difficult for them to gain ground. So that certainly helps Tampa Bay. Although the Rays have been losing, they've lost 3 in a row. It's rocked into left center field. A line drive that will be picked up by Robbie Grossman. Grossman with a throw into second, and a good piece of work holds the batter to a single. Seager on with 1 out. After 9 straight had been retired by Overholtzer.
That nice defense in left field by Robbie Grossman keeps the double play in effect.
That could be big with Morales not possessing speed. There is the lefty Chapman. Morales is 1 for 3 in this game.
Intriguing to have a left-hander up throwing in the pen behind Obi.
It is. Morales is grounded into 19 double plays. Foul ball for strike 1. Overholtzer has 10 ground ball outs in this game. Jordan Lyles was the last to pitch a complete game shutout for the Astros. That was last September 30th against Milwaukee. He tried to check, and the appeal went down to first. He did check. Clint Fagan with a call. It's 1-1.
Overholtzer must do a really nice job not giving away the changeup. That reaction from the hitters has come all day long.
Yeah. Seems to have a very good feel for pitching. Outside the right field line, this one goes back toward the seats and out of play for LJ House. That makes it 1-2. Overholtzer, if he wins this game, will be 4-1 since he moved into the Astros rotation. The low ERA, 2.53 during those games when he took the mound today, and now 8 1/3 shutout innings to figure into that. Very low ERA in his 6 starts with the Astros. Last complete game shutout for a Houston rookie was by Taylor Buchholz back May 22nd, 06 against the Texas Rangers. In the air, and this one also heads for the seats, but it might fall short. Hose is hustling over to try to get there, and with a sliding play, he does make the catch. Tremendous play by LJ Hose. They've come a long way for this.
Yeah, that's the way to flash little D in the 9th inning. Very nice. I think LJ was looking up to see if he could get a peek at what a fine play somebody had made. Not easy when you're dealing with those walls and warning track area. Very nice.
We've seen some injuries over in that area. Very well done for out number 2. Franklin Gutierrez is the batter. He's 0 for 3. Jonathan Villar made an excellent play on him in the 7th inning. Overholtzer has let his fielders do the work for him today. He struck out 2 in the 1st inning. He struck out 5, but none since the 4th now. There's strike 1. Very well pitched game for Brett Overholtzer today. To wrap it up, Gutierrez has 7 home runs this season.
Well, if there were any questions about Overholtzer in that last start, he has turned all of it right around here with this effort today.
He's allowed 4 hits, all singles. It's 0-2, and he has had the hitters expanding their zones.
Gutierrez had big swing on his mind right there.
Fans are standing for Brett Overholtzer. Native of Christiana, Delaware. It's 1-2. 8th round pick of the Atlanta Braves in 08, traded in the Michael Bourne deal, along with another who's currently in the Astros rotation, Paul Clemens, July of 2011. And scouting report called him an excellent athlete who projects as a number 3 or 4 starter. It's 2-2. 110 pitches. Will Porter feels that 120 is the limit for just about any starting pitcher. He will let that slide a little bit depending on game situation. But he's told his starting pitchers, if you can't get it done in 120, you're not going to be staying in the game. Shut out the Tigers in Detroit 4-0 on a grand slam by Micah Felix. That came in the 9th.
Look where that pitch is. Fastball, and late a bit is Gutierrez, but Gutierrez also has laid off nicely on a previous changeup.
Quite a duel in with Cleveland and Detroit playing in Detroit. Danny Salazar, 6 shutout for the Tribe. Justin Verlander, 7 shutout for the Tigers. Joaquin Benoit gave up the 9th inning grand slam and was the loser. And Joe Smith won it. The Astros trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. Fly ball. LJ Ho's coming in right, and that will do it. On the Astros' first complete game shutout of 2013, Brett Overholtzer is the author. It's win number 4 for him. He was absolutely dazzling, keeping the Seattle hitters off balance today. And Brandon Barnes with a squeeze bunt for run number 2. Helped him with that extra run after Castro doubled in the first run in the 8th inning. A well-earned victory for the Astros. That snaps their 5-game losing streak. They prevent the Seattle sweep. Final score is Houston 2, Seattle 0.